Okay, so this has nothing to do with today's video, but I have a little surprise for you. I think we all know I love holidays, I love the fall, I love Christmas, I love 4th of July, I love it all. And sometimes Paul's like, I think you're a little confused on what season and what holiday it is, but oh no, I'm not. We just wrapped up Halloween, and on October 30th, Paul ran in and he said, hey, it's a Christmas miracle outside. You should walk out to your front. And yes, I already have my lights hung and a wreath at the top of the house, and I am so excited. So let me show you my little Christmas miracle that happened. So on November 1st, aka today, I get to turn my Christmas lights on. Okay, let me show you. Okay, I gotta scoot back. So I got all my fall stuff down. I just have to go donate these pumpkins to a local farm, which is really cool. It's this family that started their own farm in the neighborhood, and they'll take all of your, there it is. The lights are up, the wreath is up. Don't worry, that's not all I'm doing. But yeah, got a little glimpse into what's gonna be shaking for the holiday. But yeah, these little pumpkins, I'm gonna go drop it off at a farm for some animals that live there. So that's cool. Okay, so on today's episode, we are gonna chat about what I would consider some of the top foods that I have found with myself and with coaching hundreds and hundreds of women that cause a lot of bloating or discomfort for us. So I know if you're a lady watching, we are always looking at ways to make our stomach feel more flat, especially around our cycle time, or maybe it's a big event. Maybe you want to fit into a cute little dress for a wedding or an anniversary dinner, whatever it is, girls' night out, and then all of a sudden you start like putting on your jeans and it's a button jean. It's not like a elastic waistband. You're like, oh my God, I'm so bloated, or yeah, whatever it is. You just feel uncomfortable. So there are some foods that some people might consider quote unquote healthy, clean foods. Remember, I just think food is food. It all literally breaks down exactly the same in your body. But there are some foods you could be strategic with and maybe limit them in your daily intake to avoid some bloating. So I'm gonna fill you in on those today. And hey, I just wanna say thanks for checking out the Angie method. It's just my little space in my place to have some fun. Just to kind of share my love for fitness, for food, for fashion, for everything that's just kind of the Angie lifestyle. So let me know in the comments, what else do you want me to fill you in on? Do you need more recipes? Do you need more workout tips? Do you want to know how I have made this lifestyle of health and fitness work with being a mom and an entrepreneur and just literally living life to the fullest? So thanks for checking it out. Be sure to give me a thumbs up. Okay, bloating, it may be the worst, especially when you are really in alignment with your health and nutrition plan and you are starting to feel just confident and sexy and lit up in your body and you're feeling like better than you ever have, and then all of a sudden you have like bloating episodes, whether it be for right after a meal, for a day, for an extended period of time, and you're like, what is going on? Well, first I would encourage you to look at, are there any foods that you added into your daily routine that you weren't eating before that could be causing the bloating? But if you just want to go all strategy here and know which foods maybe to avoid that you might hear are quote unquote healthy for you, here are the ones that I'm gonna fill you in on. We're gonna go with my top 5 today, starting with vegetables. Yes, that's right. Not all vegetables are created equal. And if you are trying to figure out if you are becoming super bloated from vegetables, here's the ones I want you to pay attention to. They seem to be the #1 culprit for bloating, and those are your cruciferous vegetables. So you can think your cauliflower and your broccoli. I know everyone's like, oh, kids, you should eat your broccoli. I don't eat broccoli anymore, and I don't eat cauliflower. It's kind of a joke. People message me all the time. They're like, oh my God, you'll probably love this cauliflower rice recipe or pizza recipe. And I'm like, no, I'll just eat the real thing, because cauliflower can be super bloating for people. So that would be one that I would check out, cruciferous vegetables, and see if you're eating those a lot and if it could be causing bloating, or you added them in because you were trying to get more vegetables in and then it backfired on you with some indigestion problems. All right, that's #1. #2, this one may come as a shock to people. Eggs and beef are super inflammatory. Now, Next question I usually get, do you eat them? Well, yes, I do, because I've gone through so many different ways of figuring out which foods do best with my body, which ones are most satiating, which ones give me stable energy, which ones do make me feel nice and regular with my digestion. But I have noticed with a lot of people, a super high inflammatory food that may cause some indigestion is beef and eggs. And so if you are eating a lot of those, or you added them in and all of a sudden you're having bloating, for protein sources, I would look at sticking to chicken, so any kind of chicken variation, turkey, lamb, shellfish, seafood, venison, those are all super low inflammatory. The most inflammatory like proteins that people usually have are gonna be eggs, beef, and pork, so I would kind of look and see what you are eating most of. So that would be number 2, my protein sources that can cause some bloating. Eggs and beef, pork too. Number 3, we're gonna talk about good fats. Yes, fats are good in your diet. The name fat, calling it a type of food, seems to get in people's head. They hear the word fat and then they like freak out that eating fat is gonna make them fat. No, eating fat plays a very important role in your body, which you can go back and watch my macro series where I fill you in on why it is essential. But one fat in particular, and no, this is not a main protein source because people hear this all the time on social media, nuts or legumes. Yes, nuts are a great source of good fat if you can tolerate them. But a lot of people get significant bloating from nuts. And so I would see if you've switched your diet and you were trying to add in more healthy foods and you added in maybe almonds as a snack, that just seems to be a popular one, and all of a sudden you're like, I am really gassy and I am bloated and I just feel uncomfortable, I would look at if you added in legumes or nuts and how your body is responding to those. Again, none of these foods are off limits, it's just knowing your body and how you want to feel and how different foods make you feel. So that's number 3 as far as fats go. I would revisit the whole nut thing if you're trying to get good fat in. I would stick with olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oils, avocado, all great fat sources that people seem to do really, really well with. Okay, so that's number 3. Okay, let's talk carbohydrates. Now, I'm gonna start with the ones that people do the best with typically. So as far as starchier carbs go, most people can handle any type of, sweet potato, rice, anything that's made with rice. So it could be a rice noodle, it could be a rice cake, but any type of rice people do pretty good with. Bananas, let's see, what else? Oh, there's a lot of different fruits. There are some inflammatory fruits out there, different carbohydrates. So apples actually are pretty high inflammatory for people. And melons that I know people do well with are typically pineapple, watermelon, honeydew, pretty much any melon. People do really well with bananas, cherries, berries. That's another super low inflammatory one. But apples, that one shocked me. And sure enough, come fall, I was adding in the apples again because now they taste good and I was getting bloated like crazy. And so that would be one carbohydrate I would look out for. And the obvious one is gluten. Yes, I eat gluten. I do not have an allergy to gluten. A lot of us might have an insensitivity to it, so you might be sensitive to having gluten, which might materialize as bloating, but if you're not allergic to it and you can handle it, you do not have to be scared of gluten, but it is one that can cause a lot of inflammation. So if you had taken it out because you did a diet that told you to and then you added it back in and you had a lot of bloating, that could be why. So as far as starchier carbs go, I just recommend trying to fill up on your sweet potatoes, on those fruits that are low inflammatory, on those vegetables that are low inflammatory, and that'll make you feel good. So that's number 4, carbohydrates. And the last one that may cause some bloating and indigestion, and I don't think it's gonna be a surprise on this one either, is dairy. And dairy could be considered a protein source most of the time. Sometimes it's gonna have some carbohydrates or fat in it depending on what you're choosing, whether it be cheese or yogurt or milk. But again, there's nothing wrong with dairy. That's actually one of the high inflammatory foods that I know for myself I do really well with, but I do well with it with certain types. And so Greek yogurt, can actually cause a pretty big spike on the scale. Like I will retain a lot of water and I will see it immediately in my stomach. But then I could do cottage cheese or regular cheese, like, I don't know, like a sliced mozzarella, fine without any bloating response. So it's very interesting how your body is going to digest and absorb different foods just based on you and your makeup. But yes, dairy can cause some bloating. It can also cause some sinus issues, but you have to be your best advocate and you have to choose what's best for you in terms of filling up your day with a lot of nutrient-dense food to keep you fuller longer, to keep your energy stable, to keep you feeling really good, to keep your calories in check, and then how you want to add in different foods for enjoyment or just knowing like, hey, if I eat that, I might get bloated. I'm okay with that. That's just a response. But if you're trying to have some strategic ways of reducing bloating, staying with low inflammatory foods and filling up with that most of your day is going to best serve you. So those are my 5 cruciferous vegetables. Protein sources I would just try to limit would be like beef and eggs and pork. And then moving on to those good fats, I would just kind of shy away from legumes or nuts if you feel like you're getting bloated from that. And then we moved on to starchy carbs and which ones I recommend. Gluten is probably the most highly inflammatory one, and apples, like seriously, it shocked me. And then last one, wrapping up, would be dairy. But I don't feel I could finish this video without telling you another thing that might be causing some irregular activity for yourself, and that one is artificial sweeteners. I just have to touch on it. Now, if you follow me or you watch this channel or you watch my Instagram or whatever, I don't mind artificial sweeteners. They do not scare me. The amount you would have to consume, it's literally like 4+ cases of soda per day for aspartame, or however you want to say it, to actually have maybe some negative effect on your health. Now, what I would say though is if you are having a lot of artificial sweeteners, like I was for a while, do not follow what I was doing. I was chewing artificial sweeteners and gum. I'd put the sugar-free stuff in my coffee. I would have sugar-free pudding, sugar-free Jell-O. I would have like energy drinks that were sugar-free. I am not saying that is what I would do. I don't know why I was doing it. It was a stressful time of my life when we were moving across the country, and it was my mom's last few weeks of her life, and I was just, I don't know. I was doing crazy stuff. We all do. Either way, what I recognized is it started to make me super bloated and I was having headaches. So what I would encourage you is a big one with artificial sweeteners. Again, there's nothing wrong with a diet soda. There's nothing wrong with something that's sugar-free if you can tolerate it and it feels good for you. And hey, if you're someone who is trying to lose weight and you can make a substitution from something that has a lot of calories like regular soda to diet soda, and that gets you in a healthier weight range and healthier blood markers, then awesome. But if you're already someone who's pretty in alignment with how you want to look and feel, and you're having artificial sweeteners and you're like, what is going on? That'd be my only one to kind of take a look at. I have dropped them significantly and I'm barely bloated. And then I also just follow a low inflammatory food list that I build most of my day around, and I also just build in something to enjoy. But yeah, that would be my only other one. Take a look at what you're having as far as that goes and figure it out. But yeah, that's what I got for you today. Like when we're looking for simple ways to reduce bloating, I would start with the foods that you're eating most of, or if you added something new in that your body might not just be, I guess, kind of processing well or like jiving with, and then take it out. And if you take it out and you want to see if that's the culprit, you need to leave it out for a good amount of time. I would say if you can leave it out for a good 2 weeks, that would be ideal. And then when you want to add that food back in to see if it is the bloating response that you were getting before, only add in 1 new food. So let's pretend you took 5 foods out. Don't add them all back in the same day, because if you bloat, you won't know which food it's from. And then I would give your body a good 24 to 48 hours after you reintroduce that food to see if you do have any bloating or irregularities or whatever it is, and then you can start adding on your next food. But yeah, it's a great way. Like if you are trying to look good for, you know, the Christmas party coming up or your friend's wedding, go power foods. That's what we call them, low inflammatory foods. Get that water weight and that bloating off of you and feel amazing. And then I would structure your day mostly with those foods because they're going to be optimal for performance and mental clarity and energy. Okay, so that's all I got today. You got a little sneak peek into Christmas at the Lingzos. I'm so excited. And the foods that I would just take a look at for bloating. And that's all I got. I'm going to get back to my day and actually back to decorating. All right, have a good week. Chat soon.